The examiner will introduce himself or herself and confirm your identity.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Michael Austin. Can you tell me your full name, please?
My name is Saida Abdurazakova.
Thank you. And what shall I call you?
Saida. Just
Saida.
Saida.
And where are you from, Saida?
From Uzbekistan.
Can I see your identification,
Yes,
please?
sure.
Thank you. Thank you, that's fine.
He or she will then ask you a number of general questions about yourself to try to make you feel relaxed. You may be asked about your home or studies. Then you'll be asked one or two more sets of questions on familiar topics, such as your interest, your country, your family, or types of things you like in various categories, such as food, clothes, holidays, etc. The questions come from an examiner frame, predetermined questions, so the examiner will not necessarily follow up with questions based on what you say. The more questions that are asked on a specific topic, the more difficult they tend to be. However, you do not have to express a point of view or justify it in this part. Some typical questions, prompts, might be, where do you come from? What is your home like? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your job or studies. Is there anything you dislike about your job or studies? What type of transport do you use most? Do you like reading? What kind of television programs do you watch? And so on.
Thank you, that's fine. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you live. What do you like most about your hometown or city?
Well, I live in Tashkent. It's the capital of Uzbekistan. So I love my city because it's very beautiful, with beautiful parks, gardens, and beautiful underground stations, because our underground stations are very popular with its architectural design. So,
How to do Part 1. Listen to the questions carefully. Give full answers to the questions if possible, but don't anticipate related questions. For example, if you are asked where you live, a suitable answer would be, I live in the New Territories in a village just outside Hamilton called Blue Ash. Do not say, I live in Hamilton. It's a really nice town with quite a large population and lots of seafood restaurants. It's a lovely place to live as it's on the countryside. I have lived there for 10 years. As it sounds like a prepared answer, and the examiner's next question might be, what's Hamilton like? Don't give one or two word answers, as the examiner can only rate you on what he or she hears. Make sure you relate what you say to what the examiner asks. For example, Examiner, do you like reading? You, yes, I do, but I don't get much time to read these days. How to prepare for Part 1. Make a list of possible topics you could be interviewed. For example, your home, your country, your job, your interest, your school, your family, food, festivals, clothes, books, films, transport, etc.
So
is your home city a popular place for tourists to visit?
I don't think so. Just we try to develop our touristic industry and we have some tourists, not like in America or in England, but we try to encourage it.
Has your home city changed much in recent years?
Yeah, just over last 2 decades, our city changed very much, and we have a lot of new modern buildings and restaurants, hotels. So over the last years, it's really changed.
Thank you.
Write questions for each of these topics and get a family member or friend to ask you the questions, or put them on an audio cassette and test yourself responding to them. Record yourself answering the questions and listen to see how you can improve your responses. Make sure you know all the vocabulary necessary to talk about these topics. Practice the pronunciation of any new vocabulary. Think about the language that will be useful. Ways of expressing likes and dislikes, linkers like even though and unless, tenses to talk about the past and present and your experiences. For example, I've never been to Europe, or I went to London for a holiday in 1998. Part 2. Individual Long Turn. The examiner will ask you to speak for 1 to 2 minutes on a topic, which he or she will give you on a card. The card will give you an outline of what you need to talk about. You will be given 1 minute to prepare, and you can make notes. The examiner will give you a piece of paper and a pen.
Now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so here's some paper and a pen for making notes. And here's your topic. Please don't write anything on the booklet. I'd like you to describe a time when you helped someone. All right. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
He or she will invite you to start talking when your preparation time is up. The examiner will not say anything while you are speaking, but will stop you if you talk for more than 2 minutes. Then you might be asked 1 or 2 short follow-up questions. The topics will be of a general nature. You will be asked to describe things such as a restaurant you enjoy eating in, a book you've read recently, or a piece of equipment in your house you can't live without. You will also be asked to relate what you are talking about to yourself. For example, say why you choose to eat in this restaurant, or say what you enjoyed about the book. For example, describe a restaurant you enjoy eating in. You should say where this restaurant is, what kind of menu it has, what other features it has, and explain why you choose to eat there. This part gives you the opportunity to show that you can speak at length without hesitation. It is also important to show that you can organize your ideas coherently.
Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes. I remember that I helped my grandmother, and my mother asked me to go to her home and help for 2 or 3 weeks. So I went there, and actually my grandmother was ill, so I had to do some cookings for her and some housekeeping works. In the evening, I read books for her. Then after 2 weeks, she became healthy, and she she forgot about that days when she was ill. So now I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I did it, and my mother also very great that I helped my grandmother.
How to do Part 2. Read the topic card carefully. Use the preparation time wisely. Make sure you have understood what you need to talk about. Jot down a few points to answer the prompts on the topic card. Don't waste time writing sentences. Don't write on the topic card. Make sure you answer both parts of the topic card, description and explanation. Organize your talk by following the order on the card. Make your talk as interesting and as lively as possible. Refer to your notes as you talk, expanding each point you have. Make sure you use examples from your own life. It's much easier to talk more fluently about your own experiences. Try to expand your sentences using linking words like however and although. Don't use words like moreover and thus, which are normally used for writing. Don't hesitate for too long. Talk about anything related to the question rather than nothing at all. Try to relax and enjoy talking about yourself. Don't worry about the time. The examiner will stop you when your time is up. Also, don't worry if the examiner stops you before you've finished. You will not be penalized for not concluding your talk. How to prepare Part 2. Using the topics you have thought about for Part 1, take them one at a time and time yourself preparing for 1 minute and talking about them for 1 to 2 minutes. Record yourself talking on these topics. Play the recordings back to see how easy you are to understand and how you could improve. Use the checklist on the next page to access your performance. Did I cover all the points? Did I elaborate the points? Did I vary my vocabulary? Did I organize my ideas logically? Would an examiner have understood me? Was my pronunciation clear? Were my notes useful? How long did I talk for? Spend some time thinking about how you will make notes. Mind maps are quick and useful for this kind of activity. Think about the language. To introduce your topic, to describe objects, people, events, or places. To describe a sequence of events. To talk about experiences. To talk about how you feel or felt about something in the past. To talk about personal goals. Practice short answer questions for the follow-up questions. How to prepare for Ielts Speaking Part 3. Part 3, Two-Way Discussion. The examiner will invite you to participate in a discussion of more abstract issues linked to the topic of Part 2. You could, for example, be asked to talk about people's eating habits, diets, fast food, or genetically modified food as a thematic link to your talk on a restaurant in Part 2. The examiner could start the discussion in several ways. For example, tell me what you think about. What is your opinion on? Or how would you compare?
Thank you. Can I take the booklet and the pen and paper pencil back, please? Thank you. Thank you. We've been talking about a time when you helped someone, and I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. So let's consider, first of all, helping neighbours. Can you tell me some of the practical things that people can do to help their neighbours?
You may be asked to relate the topic to a situation in your own country. You will be expected to be able to express your opinions and give reasons in this part, and it is an opportunity to demonstrate your fluency, as well as the range of your vocabulary and grammar. You will also be expected to use language to clarify your meaning and repair any breakdowns in communication. The questions will increase in difficulty slightly as this part of the testing process. The examiner may begin by asking you to describe something and then move on to ask you to compare, evaluate, or speculate.
Can you tell me some of the practical things that people can do to help their neighbours?
Yes, I think people always should help their neighbors because they live together in one place. So, for instance, they can help to carry their things to their homes if they saw them in the streets, or maybe to look after their children.
So why is it important then for neighbours to help each other?
I think it's very important because they are like relatives. They live in one place, and they should be cooperative. They should be tolerant to each other.
Okay, you live in a big city in Tashkent.
Yeah.
Do you think that people in small towns help each other more than people in cities?
I think so. Yes.
Why is that?
Because in a small town there are not as much people as in the big cities, because they need help, and they are more closer to each other,
Right.
because they are few. Comparing with the big cities, people who live in cities, they are very busy. They just think about yourselves.
Right. Let's go on and think about jobs that involve helping people. Can you tell me some of the jobs that focus on helping other people?
Well,
How to do Part 3. Remember, there is no right or wrong answer. Don't be afraid to say what you think about a topic. Try to give interesting responses to the examiner's prompts. Show your ability to express abstract ideas and support your opinions. Demonstrate a willingness to give extended responses. Don't give one-word answers. Try to repair any breakdowns in communication by getting around a word you can't think of or don't know, by using other words to express your meaning. Give yourself time to think by using expressions like, "I've never really thought about this before, but..." How to prepare for Part 3. Think about abstract issues related to the topics you have for Part 1 and 2. For example, schools and teachers, qualities of a good teacher, learning styles, qualifications versus experience, face-to-face tuition versus online courses, etc. Make it a habit to read English language newspapers and watch the news reports and listen to the radio to keep up to date on everyday topics. Try to listen or to watch current affairs programs. Think about the language which will be useful. For example, language of comparison and contrast, language to express opinions and give reasons, Language to speculate about the future. Language to discuss the hypothetical, for example, conditional sentences. Try to take a current affairs issue every day and list all the vocabulary you would need to talk about it. Think about your opinion on the issue and think about opposing views. Find someone else doing the test and practice discussing current affair topics.